Welcome back. You're watching Bottom Line. Well, all the Northeast states have been taking steps to get back the stranded people from these states who are stranded in other parts of the region and also outside Northeast. For now, hundreds within Northeast have gone back to their respective hometowns. Screening centers have been put in place at each and every interstate border in the region. And now the states are preparing for the next flight, which is to get those thousands and lakhs from the region who are stranded outside in other parts of the country, and that's the most challenging part. Well, I'm being joined by Meghalaya Health Minister, Mr. El Haq. Welcome to Bottom Line, sir. I'm also being joined by the Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Prestone Tynsong. Thank you so much, sir, for being on Bottom Line. If I can go to Mr. El Haq first, sir. First of all, how do you gauge the overall preparedness in Meghalaya after, if I can say, have successfully tackled at least 10 cases in the state?
See, so far in Meghalaya, we are containing very well. And also the preparedness, our preparations has been doing right from the community level, the health department, and everybody taking their same responsibility how to combat the COVID-19.
So, Mr. Haq, Meghalaya has decided to allow those from outside Northeast to come with their own transportation to enter the state post May 11th. Similarly, registration has been done for hundreds of others who want to return. And we also know that close to 1,800, 2,000 from other parts of the region have already returned to the state. So, see, it is not possible to put everyone in facility quarantine. But what Assam is doing is that it is putting people for at least 3 days facility quarantine, seeing the surge in cases. Would Meghalaya also consider doing something like this if the situation demands?
Those are coming from the outside Meghalaya, from the northeastern states, almost now more than 1,800 people. Okay, every individual have been tested, okay, and sent for the home quarantine. In case, if any one of them found to be suspected cases or have any symptoms, then only we send it to the Corona Care Center after testing.
Yes.
Yeah, after testing only they will send them to the Corona Care Center or Quarantine Center.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that those coming from outside regions, some of them want to come on their own transport. Will they be put in facility quarantine? Those are coming long distance with their own transport, or if they or they too will be allowed to go home if they are asymptomatic?
Yeah, if the is symptomatic, if there is no sign of symptoms, they will send to the home quarantine. Only those suspected cases, only they will be sent to the quarantine center arranged by the government.
Sent home. Okay. On the health infrastructure front, sir, are efforts underway at the same time to constantly increase the capacity building? Yes, we do know that IIM Shillong has been turned into a Corona Care Center, but are more quarantine centers being added? Will this be a continuous process? Because we are staring at a situation where 5,000 to 6,000 people may be coming to the state from outside the region.
We have been requisitioning hotels and the guest houses, and also we have been now almost 900 beds for the quarantine center in our state. Total beds in our state is 900 now. And now we are looking more quarantine center, and also we are requisitioning more guest houses and also hotels.
All right, if I can go to Mr. Prestone Tynsong now. Prestone Tynsong, Meghalaya Deputy Chief Minister. So do you think the same question, Meghalaya, after bringing the stranded home from other parts of Northeast, now Meghalaya is ready for the intake of those coming from outside region?
Yes. In fact, the process is still on. And let me just tell you, till today, our students or friends coming from different places in northeastern states, we have reached to 2080. and all these people who has come back to Meghalaya, they have been duly screened in all the 4 places where we already created. One is in Jaintia Hills in Ribhoi district, and then one is in North Garo Hills, and the last one is in West Garo Hills.
And are you encouraging all those coming from outside Northeast to manage their own transport, or the state government will also be on the job to facilitate entry of the majority of the stranded students and workers from outside region?
See, right now, in fact, we are still in touch with the government of India, because as you know that the lockdown is extended up to 17, and there is no rail or there is no flight services throughout India. Okay, so what I'm saying is, right now our Chief Minister is always in touch with the government of India, and we are prevailing upon them. We requesting the government of India, if possible, to consider maybe special flight or special rail services to bring back our stranded students and then friends working in different places.
So basically, anybody coming before the 17th, can come on their own transport. The Meghalaya government will allow that. Mr. El Haq, also say Assam has quarantine facilities in the interstate border, say in Srirampur, as well as those coming from outside region. So in that way, how is the preparedness level at Birnihart screening center, for instance? Whoever is coming from outside region will enter through Birnihart. Like Assam, would you want to boost the quarantine centers there, or let people come in, maybe after initial screening, let them come in, and if they're not showing symptoms, let them go to home quarantine? What is the approach, sir?
No, we have only the screening center only in the check gate area, entry and exit point. Okay, there in Birnihart, we have only few rooms for quarantine center.
Okay.
Okay, those who can accommodate there, we accommodate there. Otherwise, we can send it to the other quarantine center or to home quarantine.
And while every movement is being monitored when it comes to entry to Khasi or Jaintia Hills, is the vigil up to the same level in Garo Hills, which shares a porous border with Bangladesh and interstate border with Assam? That is because in Garo Hills we have situations like you have a village where the market is on the Assam side and people come back to their home on the Meghalaya side. There are also such instances, so probably that is where also the vigil should be up.
We are monitoring because we have already sealed all the inter-district movement and also the interstate movements. We are allowing only from those checkpoint only for the movement of the people. Otherwise, we will not allow from any other places which is not identified as the entry and exit point.
All right. And how do you see the morale of the frontline workers now that Meghalaya has, at least for now, tided over one COVID-19 crisis? We can safely say at least one COVID-19 crisis. We hope there are none in future.
See, the morale of the frontline workers has been boosted up because everybody been working very hard here, and also not only the frontline workers of the health department, even the police departments, even the community. Okay, the community like the traditional institutions, the Dorbar Shnong. These people also are the frontline. Even your press people also are the frontline. They are working very hard to ensure.
Thanks for acknowledging that, sir.
Ensure all the preparedness has been done, well. How to combat or how to fight this coronavirus.
And as you just mentioned, the role of Dorbar Shnong also, as you mentioned, of course, the Chief Minister did have a meeting with the traditional heads. How critical do you think is the role of the headmen in ensuring people adhere to the home quarantine rules?
Dorbar Shnong, that we, the traditional institutions, they have a very big major role to play for fighting this COVID-19. Without them, this is very difficult for the government to follow all the health protocol. So with the help of the Darbar Shnong, the community and all the individual will be able to contain this COVID-19 in our states.
Absolutely, much needed help from the Dorbars. Mr. Preston Tinsong, on what about the economic and livelihood front? What are the steps being taken now that the COVID situation is at least for now under control in the state? Any more steps being taken to ease things on the livelihood front, sir?
Yes, in fact, relaxation has been done from time to time, and now economic activities has already started, and I've seen it, be it in the rural area or even in the city. Construction work has already started, and then farming activities has already in place. So I am sure now the economic activities, I don't say 100% is normalized, but at least 60-65% now people are in place.
Also, do you think everything is good, well, all is well as far as the supply chain is concerned?
See, food and essential commodities supply is good, is very good, and I'm telling you, every household, they are happy. And then the PDS also are working well. So even the open market, we don't have any shortage of stock at any point of time.
And my last question to you, sir. Yes, Meghalaya has now brought the COVID crisis under control. But again, now people will come from outside regions. So is capacity building a continuous process? The same question I asked to the Health Minister of the state. What is your view? Is capacity building going on as a continuous process?
Yes, in fact, all these days we are doing that. And the beauty I would like to tell you is this, that the mechanism now has been established up to the village level.
Okay.
So we do have a dedicated village health team who works 24/7 in fighting against the COVID-19. So therefore, as far as mechanism is concerned, everything is in place, and I'm sure even if our students coming back from different places in the nation, we will be able to handle them well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Preston Tinsong. Thank you so much, Mr. El Haq, for joining us on Bottom Line. Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, Meghalaya, as of now, well, we can say things are under control. Do you see the state government also taking proactive steps to ease things as far as the economic and livelihood front is concerned? What is your observation, sir?
Yes, I mean, the Honorable Minister had been quite correct in his assessment. Only problem is that of building up the supply chain again, because the agricultural products have to be sold and they have to be sent to the markets. Now, the farmers in the rural areas are not able to gather their agricultural products together, and they are not easily able to sell them to the market because the people who buy it, the suppliers and wholesalers, they are not reaching out to the rural areas. There is a certain kind of a slowdown in the process of rebuilding the supply chain in Meghalaya. Nevertheless, there is steady supply of vegetable food items in the market. In that matter, the minister is very, very correct.
Absolutely. Dr. Sangeeta Datta, when we talk about Meghalaya, we also talk about the traditional bodies, the Dorbars, the village body, so to say, which is there in every locality. And the state government is also banking big time on these Dorbars to ensure that those sent to home quarantine adhere to the norms. A perfect example in a way of how it is the community's responsibility. In everything, the government can only probably play the role of a facilitator. Ultimately, it's the community who's to come together and, do things as they ought to be done.
Yes, absolutely. Because ultimately, it's about a relation between the government and the community leaders in this case. And we need to understand one thing, that when it comes to rural areas, be it Meghalaya, be it anywhere else, people trust and have more faith on representatives from their own community, and in this case community leaders. So when it comes to sensitization, awareness building regarding COVID-19, and for that matter even what the do's and don'ts during home quarantine, etc. If a community leader sensitizes other important people in the community, and then they go from house to house and then sensitize people, and then they monitor how the home quarantine is being is being followed, then only we'll be able to do things successfully. Because if the government says that these people will go into home quarantine and we don't know what is happening in their homes, I'm sure proper home quarantine is not happening. I think this is the correct approach, a proper liaison between the government and the community leaders.
Sorry to cut you short here. It's also a case of, where we had our age-old traditions of the elderly, kind of, I wouldn't want to say exactly having a control of things, but directing the way forward. When people look up to elders, respect the elders, abide by what they say, it's kind of continuation of that tradition. It's a society
Yes.
which is at ease with itself and is willing to adhere to some
Yes.
norms. Sometimes maybe norms are also important, though most of the times they are being discarded as archaic in several cases, but they have their norms do have their place still.
Absolutely.
Even if it is societal norms.
We have to remember one thing, we have to do whatever works here. When it comes to the urban area, maybe we need different norms, different rules altogether. When we go to the rural area, now it may not even be rural and urban like that. It might be, things could vary from region to region, from culture to culture. So we have to know what works in a particular area or a particular region and do things accordingly. When it comes to elderly, of course, in certain societies where the value system is still not so much degraded and people still respect the elders, of course it would work. But again, in more, I would say, I don't know if I should use the word progressive, in more metropolitan cultures, different things work. So ultimately we will have to study, analyze what works for a particular region and for a section of people and do things accordingly, so that there is less resistance, more acceptance, and we have more receptive people at the other end. When we say something, the other people have to receive, and we have to study the whole situation and do things accordingly.
Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, shifting focus to Tripura now. Well, in no time, in a span of 4 days, we have well over 80 cases, 80 cases in Tripura. And the situation is such that the state government has been forced to, come up with a new COVID treatment center. A youth hostel in Agartala would be converted into a 300-bedded COVID treatment center. How critical is the situation, do you think, in Tripura?
The point is that it is not from the people of Tripura themselves, but BSF and other paramilitary forces who are posted in Tripura have unfortunately got infected. So the question goes back to the responsibility within these forces, and also the state government has to provide adequate medical facility both ways. And it should be seen that it doesn't spread from the forces, because they are the frontline workers, to the ordinary people. So extreme caution needs to be taken in case of Tripura, and such caution can be exercised by mobilizing health workers, nurses, doctors, paramedical staffers.
Which is fine.
There seems to be a certain kind of a effort going on still on the part of the Tripura
but the
government
immediate
to gear
challenge,
themselves up to the task.
The immediate challenge, Dr. Biswas, would be the way the numbers are increasing to even find, enough facilities to accommodate. We hope that it doesn't go past 100 or 138 as was the case in the CRPF battalion in Delhi. But yes, the numbers are increasing. It has gone to 3 battalions now. It started with 1 battalion, now 3 battalions. The way the numbers are increasing, the bigger point here is that will there be enough space available? Perhaps that is something that is more critical at this point. And thankfully, it has not spread to any of the civilian areas till now, thankfully.
Yes, the makeshift arrangements have to be made by the Tripura government in close collaboration with BSF, CRPF and other paramilitary forces. And these makeshift arrangements also have to be made by doctors from the forces, not just the civilian doctors. There should be a coordination between civilian medical staff and the medical staff attached to these paramilitary forces. Only then a proper healthcare management system could be built up to manage this crisis that is arising from the paramilitary forces in Tripura.
All right, we are being joined over the phone by our Agartala correspondent Sudeep Nath. Sudeep, क्या लेटेस्ट है? पहले ये बताएं कि जो थर्ड बटालियन के जो एक नया केस आया है कोविड पॉजिटिव का, what is the distance between the 3rd battalion camp and the 138 battalion? क्या कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन है आपको?
जी हाँ नवरुण, ये एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट में लेकिन दो सब डिवीजन में पहले जो 2 बटालियन था ये अम्बासा सब डिवीजन में था, और आज जो नया बटालियन नंबर 3 पे मिला एक कोविड-19 पेशेंट बीएसएफ जवान, वो कोमलपुर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में है। मैं करीब 40 to 45 किलोमीटर डिस्टेंस
40-45 किलोमीटर्स फ्रॉम ओके। तो उस अभी कितने प्राइमरी कॉन्टैक्ट्स वहाँ के हो सकते हैं सुदीप? कुछ क्या खबर मिल पाई है अभी तक?
अब नहीं, देखिए अंडर प्रोसेस। आज दोपहर को उन्होंने दूसरा कुछ प्रॉब्लम लेके कोमलपुर हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट हुआ था। जब डॉक्टरों को लगा कि शायद उनमें
वैसे ही जैसे इस केस में हुआ था पहले कि धोलाई डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट हुए थे पेशेंट जो पहले हेड कांस्टेबल थे, जो कि आसाम से गए थे मार्च की 11 तारीख, वो भी बिल्कुल ऐसे ही एडमिट हुए थे और फिर उनको टेस्ट कराया गया था। सिमिलर ऐसे ही हुआ है 3rd बटालियन केस के साथ भी?
जी हाँ, ऐसा ही हुआ है। और बाद में जब तुरंत कल ही उनको अगरतला लाया गया, और आज उनका टेस्ट का रिजल्ट जब आया पॉजिटिव, तब तुरंत
पॉजिटिव आया,
एक्टिव में हो गया उन लोग।
तो उस बटालियन में अभी वहाँ कैंप में लगभग कितने लोग हो सकते हैं अंदाजन? कुछ क्या खबर मिल पाई है?
अब देखिए, एक बटालियन में तो
हाँ करीब 70
से 100 होता है ये तो।
बट मूवमेंट होती रहती है सुदीप, मूवमेंट होती रहती है बीओपी और हेडक्वार्टर्स के बीच, इसलिए ये हम वेट करेंगे जानकारी का कि कितने लोग वहाँ पे थे। नेवरदलेस, थैंक यू सो मच सुदीप फॉर ऑल दोज अपडेट्स, थैंक यू। सो Sangeeta Datta, very concerning. The same happened when the first COVID case among the BSF was detected in Dholai in Ambasa, and now again 3rd battalion, different space, and you never know, the same trend may follow. So that is what is very concerning, because the number in that case, Dholai case, it grew from 2 to 80 to 83 in no time.
Yes, that's very alarming again. That's why I said, we need to come out of this state of denial. We need to accept things as it is, and we need to understand that there are asymptomatic carriers who are carrying the virus, and they are meeting other people and they could be passing on this virus. Another thing I would like to share is that, I started work at my clinic about 5 days back, and the patients who come to see me now, they are made to wash their hands with soap downstairs, then sanitize their hands, and then come upstairs. 2 people can sit, for 5 minutes, and then, we call the other people. We don't even allow a crowd to come in, and again sanitize. And I refuse to see people who do not wear a mask or wear gloves.
Okay.
So what I mean to say here is that I think every shopkeeper, every banker, every government official, or for that matter, every person who's working in different organizations and establishments who are in contact with other people, they have to insist on the other people to follow norms. Otherwise, we can politely refuse to give services to them. That way, we actually create a situation which is far safer.
Following the norms is the only option right now. We have completely run out of time. Thank you so much, Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, for joining us from Shillong. Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta Datta. That's a wrap of Bottom Line.